I'll just start again, and however you want to phrase it, like, how did your parents fall in love with chloride? How did that happen, that they found a museum and found chloride?
Okay, well, it was an accidental find. They were trying to get to Wall Lake, which is on the west side of the mountains from here, and they had stopped at the little store over in Winston. When they got back out to the motorhome, my dad said he took a wrong turn. About a block past the store, you have to make either a left or a right, and the main road goes to the right, and it was paved at that time. The road to the left was a dirt road, and my dad likes to see what's at the end of the dirt roads, so I think it was an intentional wrong turn. Anyway, they came up over the hill, dropped down on this side, and he made the comment that this wasn't the right road. They ought to head back so they could get camp set up before it got to be too awfully late. And my mom had seen some rooftops, and she wanted to go check the buildings out, and of course it was the buildings here in Chloride. So they drove into town, and at that time the grass and weeds was grown up tall around everything. Most of the buildings were boarded up, and as they drove through town there was nobody stirring about. They really thought it might be an Old West movie set. They said, short of having the tumbleweed blowing down the middle of the road, it really looked like an Old West movie set. They drove up to the end of town like most people do, turned around, and they started back out. And when they stopped in front of a couple of the old false front store buildings, they kind of looked at the town, looked at each other, and my mom made the comment that if this wasn't a movie set, this is where they needed to be. In 1995, my parents started working on restoration. About 90% of what you see on display was in the building when they first started to work on it. Wow. Most of the other 10% is from other old buildings that we own here in Chloride. So I think that makes it kind of a unique little museum because the stuff was just all right here. In 1977, when my parents first found Chloride, there were 13 people living in town, and of those, 7 were in their 70s and older, and they were all the sons and daughters and nieces and nephews of the people who had built the town. I've seen photographs of a number of old stores that were built, late 1800s up into the early 1900s. Yeah, they're long, narrow buildings with the tall shelves on the wall, a walk space, a sales counter, and then the open space in the middle either had tables with goods, like this one does, or they had the barrels that would have crackers and vegetables and whatever they had. Shelves, the display cases, merchandise, everything was taken out with the exception of the safe. Yeah. The only reason they didn't move it out is it weighs 6,000 pounds. They kind of worked around it.
I can't believe they even got it in here ever.
And of course an awful lot of the stuff had been knocked off the shelves onto the floor by the bats and the rats scurrying around in here for all those years. You literally could not walk anywhere in here without stepping on paperwork or merchandise of some sort. So they started with the double door with an empty box. They'd pick up an item, shake the loose crud off of it, put it in a box, pick up the next item, and just slowly work their way in. And then, like I say, 3.5 to 4 years later, they were ready to start bringing it in. They had the structure redone and ready to bring the items back in. We think it's important to save this history because once it's gone, it's gone.